Hi everyone, I'm Keith, M7BYD. Once again, a very warm welcome wherever you are to our new hams net. And before our net, let's ask if there's any emergency or priority traffic. M7BYD standing by. Okay, nothing heard. If at any time there's any priority traffic throughout the net, please call break and I'll stand by immediately for you. It's always my very great pleasure to host and net control our new Hamsnet, and it happens and takes place every Sunday at a time of 2000 hours GMT, which is 1900 hours UTC, here on the Extended Freedom Network. I'll take a pip. Please do feel free to come and join me and feel relaxed here on our net. You'll always find everyone very friendly and welcoming, and it doesn't matter where you are or what grade of license you hold. If you're a brand new amateur, please do push your PTT and give me a call, even if that's just to get your name in our logbook. So I'll take a pip. If you can, remember the repeaters quite literally all around the globe. They'll time out after 3 minutes, so if you can, take a pip during your over, and that'll give the repeaters time to reset. And when you call in or return after a pip, do give a short pause before you speak so the very beginning of your over isn't clipped. I'll take another pip. I'm so grateful to my mate Gareth, G0WUR, one of the Extended Freedom Network founders, for entering your check-ins into NetLogger. And Gareth does this so regularly for us, so we can all see who's checked into our net, including all the great comments on the blue screen. And if you haven't got NetLogger, it's free to download, and I really do encourage you to get it. Okay, on to my topic of this week, which is mobile and portable operation. As the weather for many of us, I should say, not most of us, many of us, begins to get better, it's time when we'll be able to dust the winter cobwebs off the equipment and gearing ourselves up to enjoy mobile and portable operation. So my questions for our topic are, what would you take with you by way of radio, antenna, power supply, and of course any ancillary equipment that would support your station and give you that great day out? And also, if you've got a favorite place to set up that generally gets you the coverage you prefer. Having said that, I'll take a pip. As always, I'm happy if you want to go off topic. We can talk about quite literally whatever you want to. Also, please call out and if you've heard something in a previous part of the net and you feel like you can answer a question or give help to someone you've heard earlier on the net, please do so. Okay, I will ask for check-ins. Please speak slowly with your call sign, your name, and your location. I'm Keith, M7BYD, host and net control of New Hamsnet. It takes place here on the Extended Freedom Network, and I'm taking check-ins, please.
Mike 0, Uniform Kilo Bravo. Mike 0, Uniform Kilo Bravo. Bruce in Northumberland.
Victor Echo 3 X-Ray Delta Bravo. That's Victor Echo 3 X-Ray Delta Bravo, Doug in Kitchener, Ontario.
Bravo 2, Foxtrot Alpha. Kilo Bravo 2, Foxtrot Alpha, Carl in New Jersey.
This is M7BYD. Thank you so much for checking in, gentlemen, in reverse order. Not in no particular order, but in reverse order. We have KB2FA, and that's Carl. We have V3XDB, and that's Doug. And at the top of the list currently, we have the other gentleman who is the founder of the Extended Freedom Network. I mentioned Gareth before, G0WR, and now we have got Bruce. And thank you so much for taking the time to check in, Bruce. And I know you do everything with amateur radio. It doesn't matter what it is, you partake in it, and you teach a lot throughout your experiences, which is fantastic. Over to you, Bruce. M0UKB from M7BYD.
M7BYD, M0UKB returning. Keith, good evening to you. You're sounding well, and you picked a cracker of a topic tonight. You absolutely have. One that's very close to my heart. Right. I trust you're doing well. So, right, I'll answer the question. What would I take with me? Real simple. Yaesu FT818 ND, to give it its full Sunday best title, radio. It's got an inbuilt lithium battery in it, so there's my power supply sorted. Don't need a lot of power because I like QRP. It's got its ordinary little fist mic with it. What would I take for an antenna? Right, nice and simple. I'd take a little dinky half-wave end fed with a reel of wire that's a good M0WCW made for me, which is about the size of a fag packet, to put it politely. That sorts me out for HF. That'll do me all bands from 80 all the way down to 10. No need for a tuner because it's resonant on all. Then what else would I go for? Oh, well, I suppose I'd take a Slim Jim for 2 meters. Probably not bother with anything for 77. Take a little Slim Jim, and then I'd take a little kids fishing pole. I've got one. It's about 5-6 meters long. Once it's out, and it collapses to about 2 foot long. Dead light, and a reel of electrical tape taping the antenna to it, etc. And a couple of tent pegs to time the end out, and a little bit of paracord. All goes in a little bag on my back, and I can either go out truly portable or I can go out in the vehicle. I'll put it back to you, Keith, before I time out.
M0UKB, this is M7BYD. I almost had to resort to shorthand to put down put down all that you were taking with you, Bruce, which all sounds great to me. I mean, the very fact your 818's got a built-in lithium battery. That's fantastic. And also QRP. That's something that I didn't mention throughout my questioning, and it certainly is appropriate. So many people are very happy to operate QRP purely and simply because it's a challenge. So wherever you find yourself, and you can erect the antenna of your choice. In this case, one made by Colin, or not, or designed. Or I don't know, but like the half wave that Colin has prepared for you. If it does the trick, well, that's absolutely fantastic, and it wouldn't surprise me if it does. And I know that you and Colin are very close as far as amateur radio is concerned, because you passed your examinations for the full license around about the same time, and you went through your amateur radio career up to full license also about the same time. And Colin, being a great guy, if he's provided that for you, it doesn't surprise me at all. Now, that said, do you have favourite places? I think I know one of the answers because I've been there myself, and it's an amazing place. But of all of the places that you've been, is there anything you would say, well, yeah, that's the place for me, that's done the business the same as the one that I'm sure you'll come back with? So thanks so much, Bruce, for taking the time to check in on my net. I appreciate it so very much, as you will know. Over to you, Bruce, M0UKB from M7BYD.
M7BYD from M0UKB. Have I got favourite places? Yes, I do, Keith. Right, the one you're thinking of is the chimneys. Yeah, that's a good one. I've got three. The top three are the chimneys, in no particular order. It just depends on the weather as to whether I'm going to go out and about without a vehicle or whether I'm going to go in the vehicle. So top three places, the chimneys. Dead simple. It's really, really close to home. I can get there in seconds. The other one is a place where Colin and I often frequent, is Wascally, the reservoir up there. It's really good. A bit more of a hike for me. And the other one is on Hadrian's Wall. There's a place called Steel Rig Car Park. It's not far from where Sycamore Gap was. It now literally is a gap. You can get up to the highest point on Hadrian's Wall. It's about a quarter of a mile from the car park. You can wander up there. There's a trig point up there, and you can get a really good takeoff. So those are the three places that I would often do. I've done my net from all three of them, actually. So different interesting spots that you can get to, and you can put antennas up and do sort of various different odds and sods, let's call it. Right, Keith, I'm not going to waffle any longer. Hopefully that's given start off at 10, but I'm sure other people have got plenty more to throw at it. M7BYD, cracking topic from M0UKB.
M0UKB, M7BYD returning. I thought you might mention the chimneys first of all. That's close to my heart as well, because you were so kind as to prepare and operate a special event station for me by way of letting me operate, obviously being a foundation license holder, and that was an outstanding experience. And Wascally, well, I know those parts, and beautiful places, absolutely, the reservoir. And finally, of course, Hadrian's Wall. And of the remaining two, having been to the chimneys, those two, also sound like special event station material without the shadow of a doubt. You said Hadrian's Wall's got a good takeoff, so that might be good for 10 meters also, I would imagine. Just a thought. So what I will say is thank you so much for joining the net, Bruce, and the kind words that you've just given to me for our net. I will, for the time being, bid you 7-3, and we'll speak soon, I have no doubt. Yeah, as always, I appreciate your contributions. So having said that, we will drop down the list, and we will go now to V3XDB, and that's Doug. And thank you also to you, Doug, for joining into the new Hamsnet on the Extended Freedom Network. All of us at the net are very grateful you're taking the time to do so. Over to you, V3XDB from M7BYD.
M7BYD from VE3XDB. Good afternoon or good evening, Bruce and everyone out there. I see Carl there as well. And Keith, thank you so much for taking my check-in. So today we ran our local Hamfest, and I'm just home a little while ago. So it was very successful. Arrived at 6 a.m. to help set up. And the rain prevented us from doing our tailgating, but we tried to accommodate the vendors inside the building. We had a little bit of a corner that we could squeeze some of them into, but it was raining most of the morning, which isn't great. But it was busy with all of our tables sold and more, and nice merchandise too. Sometimes you think of the Hamfest as a junk fest, but this one was pretty nice stuff, and the gear on display was really nicely displayed, and I had a lot that I wanted to get, and we had many attendees, so that was fun. In terms of your mobile and portable operations, well, I have a nice QRP CW kit rig that I have. It's called a Tri-Band CW transceiver. It runs on 20, 30, and 40 meters. I've never really used it mobile, but maybe this year. That's one of the things that I'd like to do this year. Many of our club work portable operations, and we've had them demonstrate in our club meetings, with things like their drive-over masts and their small QRP rigs and their NFED antennas with the 49-to-1 and all that kind of stuff, and the batteries. And the NFED half-wave seems to be a very common and popular antenna for portable operations. Around here, there are lots of interesting places. One that comes to mind is the Niagara Peninsula, which kind of runs north and south, a little bit east of us here, and it's a high point, and many folks can operate from the parks on the Niagara Peninsula because it gives a good takeoff angle and a good view in all directions. Anyway, that's it for me. Hope you have a great day, Keith, and thanks for taking my check-in. M7BYD from VE3XDB. Back to you.
VE3XDB, M7BYD returning. It's always a pleasure, Doug. And no, thank you for taking the time to come across and give an answer to my question. Also, congratulations on the local Hamfest. I was here for the Bishop Auckland Radio Amateur Club, which is a great club that I'm very fortunate to be a member of. Ours takes place latterly. It's right at the end of the year, if you will, and we always look forward to that. And that's always indoors, because at that time of the year, that's taking place where there is snow on the ground, and still people have attended, and we get many tables, and all of ours are sold out. So we're so very fortunate, and I'm sorry to hear that you've had rain, Doug. I'll take a pause. So yeah, as far as yours, with all of your tables sold out, I'm so very sorry you experienced rain. It's not nice. I mean, it really isn't. If you take the time and you're part of preparing something like that, we have no control over weather, so that's the way that sometimes um, things pan out. But for doing it and selling all of the tables, that's fantastic. Yeah, your CW mobile rig sounds um, like a really good idea, and I know I wrote down maybe because you might do it, Doug, and I suppose 2024 might be the year that you actually do, and I hope that's the case. But you're quite right. So many people use an 49 to 1, and that can go to a half wave or near half wave, and you get good results. That's a stalwart of antenna deployment, if you will. So yeah, I will thank you, Doug, very much indeed. So as far as your experiences, though, with various places, what sort of an area do you have something higher ground that is particularly good for you, that would maybe get you out further, or are you yet to use um, um, deployment, if you like, of equipment for mobile portable use? I'm not quite sure, but do tell me. Back over to you, Doug, if you don't mind. V3XDB from M7BYD.
Oh, very good, Keith. Well, a few times we've operated Field Day at the end of June from the Ontario campsites, and there are quite a number of them. And some of them are on a bit higher ground, they're quite easy to set up because you're surrounded with trees. So we've used several campsites. But many of the POTA people and those that run the QRP portable operations, as I mentioned, if you look at a map of Ontario, between Niagara Falls and Owen Sound, it's called the Niagara Peninsula, and it's a ridge, and it's kind of like a ridge that runs north to south through this part of Ontario. And quite often people drive up to the parks on the top of the peninsula and operate from there, because you do get good visibility depending where you are. You get good low takeoff angle in any direction from there, because it's high ground. And I've only worked from there once, but it was fun and interesting. Anyway, Keith, you have a great week and a good night, and it's good to hear you on the air. All the best to you and everyone else. Mike 7, Bravo Yankee Delta. Here is Victor Echo 3 X-Ray Delta Bravo.
VE3XDB. This is M7BYD. Thank you very much indeed, once again, for the kind words. Appreciate it, Doug. Nice places in the world to be able to deploy equipment, especially as you've mentioned, QRP. A lot of radiometers use that as the challenge, if you will, because you have the ability to set up any antenna, and the antenna, as we all know, is a very important part of communications in amateur radio. And then you're able to put the lower wattage in and get quite often amazing results depending upon where you are. And if you've got a low angle takeoff that you've described, happy days, as they say, it's the best way forward. So thank you so much for joining me, Doug, and the kind comments once again. I appreciate it, as you do so regularly. for the time being, I will bid you the very best, 7-3 Doug. We will speak soon, I'm sure. From your good self, I will drop down now to Carl. And Carl is KB2FA. And I hope you're well, Carl. And the little topic that I've got running, you will have heard, I would imagine, being first part of the net and shout out for check-ins. And I hope you're well. And what are your thoughts? Over to you, Carl. KB2FA from M7BYD.
Greetings, Keith, Bruce, Doug. Hope everyone's doing well. Well, let's see. Well, first you mentioned Ontario. I haven't been up to Ontario in a little bit, but I used to go up there quite frequently. I used to visit. You were talking about campsites and parks. I used to go up to Algonquin Park a lot. So that was kind of my frequent destination when I was headed up north from here in New Jersey. Let's see. Mobile operation. Well, on the SUV, I bought a Diamond end fed that doesn't need a ground plane because my roof racks are not grounded, and it seems to work really, really well. So I use that when I can find a high spot. And for VHF, UHF, I have a G90 for HF, and an end fed, as many do, an end fed half wave. I still like to do a drive on and put up a vertical. I haven't gotten to that. Particularly, there's some parks you can't touch the trees. So yeah, that would be a nice addition. And we also have a park about an hour from me east called Island Beach State Park, which there are no trees, but it does count on parks in the air. So I'd like to do a drive on at some point out that way. So with that, back to net, KB2FA.
KB2FA M7BYD. No, I absolutely understand. As far as drive-ons are concerned, I know that there are a number of members of the Bishop Auckland Amateur Radio Club have got drive-ons, and it's a great way of doing it because you obviously got the stability you need to be able to erect any of the poles, extendable poles, to whatever height you should wish. And of course, within that, you've got a great vertical. And depending upon how you deploy it, I've heard that some people even use the drive-on to put on something like a DX Commander or something like that, that they've stripped down, ready to deploy, and put up, that will do all of the bands that they wish. Obviously, that's rather close to the vehicle that you're using, depending upon the reach of your drive-on. So yeah, that to me is a great thing. I'll take a pause. M7BYD continuing. Yeah, so from my point of view, that's a great way. And also, you mentioned that you're sort of crossing over the border and going as far forward as far upwards as you can as well, Carl. You can explore various places with your SUV. That's a great way of doing things. So now you've told me where you would. What would be? You've mentioned a G90. Yeah, that's a great radio. There's no doubt about it. Any ancillary equipment? Do you bother with things like antenna analyzers or anything that can give you an idea? Do you rely upon auto tuners and into maybe the 49-1 if it's M-fed and all of that sort of thing? So how do you prepare or attend to things like that, Carl? Back to you, KB2FA from M7BYD.
it, and it's got a 49-to-1 balun, and it's a 40-meter end fed. And once you tune it up for 40, you're probably pretty good in the field. But the G90 has a fantastic auto tuner in it, so that maybe if you want to be really minimalistic, that might be all you need. I definitely pick the G90 when I go in the vehicle because it only draws 6 amps when you crank it up to 20 watts, so I can just plug right into the vehicle. I still will like to buy one of those newer batteries. I can't remember what the designation is, but they're the new ones that are pricey, but they, you can charge them over and over and over again. Iron, I can't think of it right now. But they got some lithium in them as well. Lithium metal, iron, something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. But they're the latest and greatest, and the prices were outrageous, but they've come down. But much, much, much smaller than the lead acid for the same amount of amp hours. So yeah, I think I like to pick one of those up, just so I can do some more field work away from the vehicle, and also, of course, it's a very good idea not to tax the vehicle battery, or you might be at the location longer than you anticipated if you kill your battery. So with that, let me pass it back to Nat, KAB2FA.
KB2FA M7BYD. Many a person has been caught out by having a great day out connected to the car battery, not realizing that whilst you're stationary, when you come to start the vehicle, that's it. you can't go anywhere. You have a great day, but you can't get home. So yeah, I thoroughly understand. The battery you described, I have friends who have them and deploy them quite regularly. And they're amazing because they're so lightweight and yet capable of driving the radios, the QRP radios, so regularly. And I'm hoping someone will come back even by way of a recheck just to tell us the battery type, because they're totally amazing. And yeah, I know exactly what you mean. So I hope that you acquire such a battery so that you don't have the problems you've just described, Carl. And yeah, thank you for the feedback on the G90 with having a great ATU. I think that's or what is it called these days? Antenna matching unit. I call them ATUs anyway, but that happens to be the way that it is. Thanks so much, Carl. Thanks for dropping by and talking with me as you do regularly and taking the time. I appreciate it. We'll break with your good self. And now, having said that, I do find myself at the bottom of the list. If anyone else would like to check in with me, Keith, here on the new Hamsnet, which takes place every Sunday, and that starts at 2000 hours, which is currently GMT. Not currently, it's always been GMT, and it's right now, it's UTC. So if you would like to join me, I'm ready for check-ins, please. This is M7BYD standing by for any more calls, please.
Charlie 5, Romeo, Juliet, Lima, KC5RJL, Lewis.
M0UKB with a comment about the battery type, Keith.
This is M7BYD. Yeah, got you on the list, Lewis, KC5RGL, but I will go back, if you don't mind, to Bruce, and Bruce is going to give us an idea about the battery that we've just spoken about. Go ahead, Bruce, please. M0UKB from M7BYD.
Thank you, Keith. M0UKB. Quickly returning, I heard you asking for a comment, so I thought, okay. Right, it is. Its full Sunday best name is a lithium iron phosphate battery. And they're often referred to by the chemical name LiFePO4. LiFePO4. Yeah, they're very, very good. I've got a few. They're not cheap. They are not cheap. Though compared to your lead acid battery will do about a couple of hundred recharges. They reckon that a decent lithium ion battery will do about 4,000. And also, lead acid battery, you'll only ever be able to use half of its quoted size. Which if it's 100 ampere hour, you'll get 50 ampere hours out of it, whereas in a lithium one, you get to use the full lot, if that makes sense. So if you work them out by cost per sort of recharge, if that makes sense, they're actually cheaper than a lead acid battery. The downside is you have to part with more cash up front, Keith. And they're also significantly lighter, like way, way, way lighter. So yeah, there you go. It's horses for courses, pays your money, takes your choice. But there you go. Right, hopefully that will help out various people as well. Okay, back to you, Keith. Thanks for letting me jump in. From M0 UKB.
M0 UKB, this is M7BYD. Well, thank you so much for filling in the gaps, if you will, Bruce. I appreciate that very much. And yeah, they're incredibly light, given the task that's expected of them. And as you say, I'm told by people who have them, I don't, unfortunately. But the recharge situation, you recharge fairly rapidly by comparison as well. So they're very easy to deploy for people who want to work QRP. It's an absolute no-brainer, so to speak. But if you're in a position to make the purchase, and I understand they are more expensive. Thanks so much for that, Bruce. I appreciate it. So that said, we're going to go now to Lewis, and thank you. I haven't spoken to you for a little bit, Lewis. I really do hope you're well. And when it comes to deployment of any kind, and also what you would take with you and where you would go, please do give me an idea. Thanks a lot, Lewis. Over to you, KC5 RJL from M7BYD.
M7BYD KC5RJL. Well, good evening, Keith, and everybody on the New Hamsnet. Yeah, I've been kind of missing in action here for about the past month. We've been dealing with some really severe weather here in Texas. I don't know, I think you heard probably on the BBC or one of the news services or YouTube or whatever, Google. We had several storms. We've gotten about all of our rainfall since the first of the year. What we'd usually get all year, we've gotten in the past 4 months. But we had one series of tornadoes. One hit downtown and one hit in the northwest part of Houston, and no loss of life, fortunately. Up in Dallas, they got quite a bit of damage. I think there was one death. And we had a lot of windows downtown blown out and trees blown over, and so it's been kind of rough here. So we've been dealing with that issue. Let me take a pause. And personally, we finally finished the renovations on the Houston house, and now we're working on the lake house, and that's has even been a greater challenge. We had a water pipe break back in January when we had a severe freeze, and we had to gut the entire downstairs, and we found some deep defects in the foundation, which I guess in a way was a good thing because we had a lot of problems with water intrusion. But good gosh, I think we had 5 haul-offs of old carpet and had to tear out all the sheetrock and insulation and air conditioners and computers and everything that was got flooded there from the pipe break. But anyway, it's coming along, so I haven't been spending a lot of time on the radio. To answer your question, gosh, I don't know. I don't really do any type of off-site radio work. Let me take a pip again. About the farthest I've gone is the field day here locally. I think I might like to try going down to, Texas has a fairly substantial coastline. I'd like to go down to maybe one of the more isolated parts of the Texas coast, maybe Matagorda Bay, maybe down to Port Isabel, which is really kind of the nicest area. It's right just north of Mexico, and it's not like where we're at in Houston and Galveston. It's all we've got kind of a lot of pollution and oil rigs and stuff in that area, so the water's pretty nasty. But I'd like to try some maybe transmitting from a beach or something, or if I was maybe 30 years younger, I'd like to try maybe a soda activation. Although I'd probably have to head up to the Denver area. I've got some relatives in Colorado Springs, so it might be nice to do a soda activation. So that's the best answer I can give you. M7BYD from KC5RJL.
KC5RJL. This is M7BYD. Firstly, I must apologise, Lewis, because I must have had my head buried in the sand somewhere along the line, because I hadn't heard of the devastation that you've experienced and how horrendous that must be. So the fact you haven't been involved or haven't been able to spend some time involved with amateur radio makes considerable sense to you. An expression that we have over here, you've got an awful lot on your plate. It's an English expression, I know, but you have so much to do, or you've had so much to do and still will do, given what you've told me and what you've had to replace. My mind is somewhat boggled even thinking about it. I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't. I know it's for all of us. It's horrendous. I'll take a pause. M7BYD continuing. Wow, how much you've had to put up with, Lewis. Yeah, and when you do finally make or are able to get into a position to recontinue, if you will, your exploits within amateur radio, it's well known that if you're able to get a good takeoff near water, especially the beach, near beaches, a lot of people do indeed have wonderful amateur radio experiences by deployment on beaches so close to the water. It makes a huge difference. So if you're able to do that, well, yeah, more power to your elbow. And I understand if certain places are more inboard within the area that you describe, but yeah, you've got a lot on your plate, and I appreciate it, Lewis. So I'll come back to you on the situation you find yourself in. how long will it take to rebuild the damage that has been caused? Because it sounds like total devastation to me. I'm sorry that this happened to you, but yeah, back to you, Lewis, please. KC5 RJL from M7BYD.
Yeah, M7BYD KC5RJL. Well, to be honest with you, Keith, we've had much worse situations here. In 2017, we had Hurricane Harvey, which dumped a record 52 inches of rain on Houston in 3 days. That's a lot of rain. Our backyard got completely washed away. We've just finally finished redoing that area with just a totally different layout. So we won't hopefully have that problem in the future. But and then we had the freeze of 21, where the Texas grid nearly failed, and we were without power for almost 10 days. So that was pretty rough. And so yeah, the weather is definitely becoming more extreme, and we're getting these rare phenomenon, like they call this thing a Draco. I'm not sure what that is. It's some sort of vortex. Not quite a tornado. But we had over 1 million people without power for about 24 hours, and I think there's about 200,000 that still don't have power because they don't have the transformers that they need to get that part of the grid back up. And the Texas grid is really shaky. We have a regulatory agency here in Texas called it's called ERCOT, the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, and they're very concerned about the Texas grid and all the people moving to Texas from California. And we have a lot of Bitcoin miners that have come into Texas, and they've used up quite a bit of electricity, so they're trying to get those people out of the state. So yeah, a lot of problems I think we're facing in the future here, Keith, in the United States with economic situation. Of course, our political situation is probably as unstable as I've seen it. I don't want to get too much into details, but I'm sure you've heard about the Trump and Biden situation. So the future looks kind of bleak, to be honest with you. But we always find a way to muddle through. But anyway, thanks for hosting the All Hams or the New Hams network as always, and we really appreciate your efforts. So I'll say 7-3 and let you get on down the list. M7BYD from KC5RJL.
KC5RJL, this is M7BYD. Yeah, I'm somewhat speechless, knowing how large a state that Texas is. My goodness gracious me, you can swallow this little nation of ours many times into the United States, and Texas being as large as it is, if there's any disruption, yeah, it does affect us all. Yes, I know you're not trying to be political, but yeah, the very fact you share that information, yeah, we all feel like that right now, because it's everything seems to be somewhat destabilized. That said, I won't say any more on that subject, but your contribution tonight has been greatly received, and thank you so much for taking the time to check in with me. I appreciate it very much, Lewis. And yeah, I'll bid you 7-3, and when you're in a position, if you want to call in any time on this net, you know you're always welcome. That said, this is M7BYD, and I do find myself at the bottom of the current list. If anyone else would like to join me here on the New Hands Net, you're more than welcome to. A little bit of a topic that I've got running is it's something that I'm hoping people are able to join in, and it's all to do with if you fancy going out mobile, or if you fancy going out portable, what would you take with you? The radios, equipment you would choose, um, and ancillary equipment, and also, of course, where would you like to go that gives you the best takeoff for a signal? If you're in a position to answer that one, or even if you just want to join me net and have your name in the log, you're more than welcome. This is M7BYD. Standing by for any more check-ins, please.
Golf 7 Victor November Mike, Alan near Crook.
Golf 7 Oscar Charlie Kilo, Golf 7 Oscar Charlie Kilo, Brian in the land of the Prince Bishops.
Cable 3 Boston, Mary Sugar. Cable 3 Boston, Mary Sugar, Pennsylvania.
Kilo 4 Bravo Foxtrot Mike. Kilo 4 Bravo Foxtrot Mike, Captain Bob, Florida.
Okay, and I'll try and stay in as long as I can. We got Kilo Bravo 2, Uniform Delta Delta, normally from Pennsylvania, U.S., but presently in Cali, Colombia, South America.
Thank you so much for the population on the list here on NetLogger. I appreciate it very much indeed, gentlemen. There was a station that called in, but unfortunately, listening here was very broken, and I believe it may be KB2UUD. Have I got that correct, please? That station, come back to me. M7BYD, standing by.
Okay, you got Jim here, and the call sign is Kilo Bravo 2, Uniform Delta Delta. And I'm coming through on ZMR, so if it's breaking up, that might be part of it. Not the best connections over here. Presently in Cali, Colombia, South America. And I think there was another station coming in after me. Maybe that might be the one that you're looking at, and I couldn't make anything out on that either.
Okay, KB2UUD. I appreciate you coming back to me on that one, Jim. Yeah, so if there was another station trying to come in, yeah, give another shout, please, and we'll try and pull you in if conditions are good. So, station that was trying to call in after Jim, KB2UUD, please go ahead again. M7BYD standing by. This is M7BYD, nothing heard, in which case I will introduce in reverse order, and thank you, gentlemen, for checking in with me. That was KB2UUD, and that's Jim. Hi, Jim. Thank you very much indeed. KK4 DFM. I apologize. Sorry, Robert. And we have K3 BMS, and that's Hank, of course. G7 OCK Brian, and G7 VNM, which is Mermaid Alan. So yeah, we'll go right to you, Alan. I hope you're well. Good of you to check in. I'm pleased you feel that you can do so. It's always great. Over to you, mate. A G7 VNM from M7BYD.
Yeah, M7BYD, G7 VNM returning. Hi there, Keith. Nice to speak to you. Good evening, everybody. Your topic tonight is one that does interest me. I'm intending to get out and operate from points higher up than where I live now. Use my old FT817 and probably vertical on the roof of the car. So I'll give that a go, and also I'm just trying out this new rig that I've recently bought now, which is a Yaesu FTM 200, which is going to be fitted in the car, but I'm actually in the house at the moment just checking it out. Back to you, Keith.
G7 VNM, this is M7BYD. If that's the radio you're using, it's crystal clear. That's a good one. You're doing well with that, Alan. And yeah, congratulations on the purchase. I know you're thinking about it for such it is a fairly long while, actually. I know the situations have been more difficult for you, putting it so very mildly. But yeah, you've had it on the back burner as an idea for quite a while. You've made the decision and you've got it, and it sounds good, as you would expect from that manufacturer, because yeah, they are extremely good without question. So you mentioned, of course, yes, you've got your 817 as well as the FTM 200. And the antenna on your car. Have you thought about doing anything as far as erecting sort of poles of any description? The extendables that we have these days, and indeed threading something across to a tree using. I know that you've actually got an unknown that you can connect to a long wire that you purchased. So yeah, you can do various things with the equipment that you've got available to you. So as well as the mobile rig direct connected to your vehicle, have you thought about anything along those lines? And bearing that in mind, these drive-on antennas are great because the weight of the car will retain the position of your antenna. Whether you have or not, Alan. Back to you. G7 VNM from M7BYD.
Yes, G7 VNM returning. Yeah, Keith, I have thought about all these things, but I don't want to overcomplicate things just yet. I'm just getting, as you know, although I've had my license a lot of years, I'm fairly inexperienced with the amateur radio thing, so I'm just getting the hang of it. I'll have to take a mate with me to show me how to work it all. Back to you.
G7 VNM M7BYD returning. You know what? I like a mate with a sense of humour, and I always have. And that's something you're not short of. So, yeah, and you'll find that fairly shortly I'll be in a position to help you with that. Latterly, at the end of June, throughout June, July, in the beginning of August, I'm work-based. I've been given the opportunity to do overtime. So, what does Keith do? Yes, he's going to take the opportunity. Yeah, but that's a good one. It really is, Alan. So, I hope that at some stage of the proceedings you do get the opportunity to do the other various things that you want to do. And if you do, and I can help you, well, I'll give it my best shot. So is there anything specific you were thinking about that you would need help with? Back to you, Alan. G7DNM from M7BYD. G7BNM, are you still with us, Alan? M7BYD standing by. This is M7BYD. Apologies, there seemed to be a little bit of feedback there. I apologise. So nothing else heard from Alan. So we'll drop down the list now to Brian. And Brian is a member of the Bishop Auckland Radio Amateur Club, another mate of mine who I look forward to seeing on every Thursday, which is when we all meet up, which gives Brian the opportunity to also put me right where I've itched to tread, but nonetheless have treaded upon various things, and Brian will keep me right. Over to you, Brian. Thanks for joining, mate. G7 OCK from M7BYD.
Yeah, Roger on that case, and good evening. Alan did answer you, actually. I heard him come through the repeater, but he was very, very quiet. So he's probably still playing around with the settings on that new radio. And if you need any help, Alan, going portable, just give us a shout or whatever. We can manage to sort things out. Right. Operating portable or mobile or whatever you wish. Yes, done that, got the t-shirt, and I still like going out and doing it. All things considered, the easiest way is probably a mag mount, the Ampro whips on HF, definitely, or a drive-on mast mount of some description. What you put on that, it can be anybody's guess. From Golf 7 Oscar Charlie Kilo.
This is M7BYD. I've done it again. I apologise. As I turned around, looking at the screen here that displays on NetLogger, and as I did so, and I turned around, I knocked the handset off my my SIP phone, and of course, it just disconnected everything. So the latter part, I got the first part of your over, Brian, and yeah, if Alan was listening, no one better to help you. Yeah, as you know, I'm always so very happy to help, but certainly Brian is. Brian will help anybody and he's got a wealth of experience working just about every mode without question. So, yeah, back to you, Brian, if you don't mind, because the fault was all my own. Everyone else will have heard you over, apart from me, because of the circumstances. Back to you, Brian, please, from M7BYD.
Yeah, Roger Case. As I say, it depends what I feel like on the day if I'm going out portable and operating from the vehicle. I don't do hill walking and going up the top of mountains or anything like that. The only hill I walk up is the stairs in the house. I don't walk up other hills other than that now. Shall we say, getting too long in the tooth and too achy in the joints. But that's another story. And as far as operating is concerned, I've tried all different methods. Collapsible poles, end feds, kites, you name it. I've tried it one way or the other. Usually with a used to always be a big lead acid battery. And then I bumped into Bruce once on a special event. Well, it wasn't a special event station we were doing, it was a rainnet thing we were doing. And he had one of the lithium-ion batteries with him. And he converted me. And by there, I'm much, much easier and much easier to carry as well, if you want to get them out and about. But like I said, one of the easiest antennas to actually operate from, certainly within the vehicle, is one of the Ampro sticks for whatever band you want to operate on. And radio of choice is the Shack in the Box, the 991A. And it literally lives in the box, ready to go, from Golf 7 Oscar Charlie Kilo.
A G7OCK M7BYD. Thanks for the clarification on that one, Brian. I appreciate it. I thought I was right. I thought you would have tried just about everything, because you involve yourself in just anything you care to mention. And latterly, of all of the experiences, you're able to demonstrate FTA at its best and give everybody encouragement to use another different mode. But yeah, as far as using RF is concerned, the various elements and ways of doing it, you've mentioned the battery that Bruce was so kind to come back to us and to describe. How light that is, given its power output, and for QRP, it's ridiculously good. Of that, there's no question whatsoever. So yeah, I thoroughly understand why you would use such a battery, Brian. And yeah, thank you so much for coming back to me again. Given that I lost that over for my own reasons. So thanks a lot, Brian. We will speak soon, I have no doubt. I will see you, hopefully, on Thursday, and we can have a good chin wag. Take care, Brian, and drop down the list right now, and that's to KA3BMS. No, it isn't. Yes, it is. KA3BMS. And, of course, that's Hank. Hi to you, Hank, and I hope you're well. And your contribution, if you can, for the little topic I've got running. If you need any further information, if you didn't hear it, please do let me know. Over to you, Hank. KA3BMS from M7BYD.
Good afternoon, good evening from near Intercourse, Pennsylvania, KA3BMS. What is the topic for tonight, over?
This is M7BYD, all to do with mobile and, of course, portable operation. So the deployment, would you take with you by way of radio, antenna, battery power supply unit, ancillary equipment that would enable you to achieve the goal or goals that you would expect with an amateur radio? As the first one, and indeed, where would you go for the best takeoff point that would enable you to achieve your amateur radio objectives? So that's pretty much it, Hank. Back to you. KA3BMS from M7BYD.
It's a very good question, and I appreciate it very well. I can tell you what I've done, but I haven't done it like that for years. Well, 2 years ago, I did field day here, connected to generator power. I don't remember the antenna I used. It was at a club setting. In the past, I have, going back as far as 35 years ago, I worked at, before I go on, net control, do you mind if I be a little bit long-winded, please? Right quick, over.
No, Hank, go ahead. This is what the net's all about. Over to you from M7BYD.
Okay, I don't want to be disrespectful if there's a concern about time sensitive. I can remember being portable. I looked this radio up, and State Park. Radio is an ICOM, IC India Charlie 2AT, IC2AT. When I operated from State Park name Susquehannock, SUSQUEHANNOC, Susquehannock State Park in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. I worked there many years ago, 35 at this time, late spring into early autumn of 1989. If you were to look at a map of Susquehannock State Park, you will notice a southern lookout. Just about, maybe about 400, 500 feet above the Susquehanna River. Susquehanna is a local indigenous name for the Algonquin Nation, Conestoga Indians. And I worked down into Maryland, and then also up and down the Susquehanna River, and I remember one down into Maryland even. I remember one time I had a chat with a dear friend. He's now a silent key for 15 years. His call sign was KA3BCO, and he was on a sailboat on the Sassafras River, which leads in Maryland, which leads into the Susquehanna River, north of Havre de Grace. And he didn't recognize me. It was one Sunday. I was quite surprised to hear me. I made mention to him, "Hello, Kevin, how are you?" Maybe you, and he said, "Who's this? So-and-so?" No, Kevin, I'm disappointed you don't remember me. Ich bin Sie, schöne deutsche Volk. He said, "Oh, yeah, Hank, yeah, I got it." And I gave my call sign accordingly. I used to operate from the Southern Lookout, made many contacts there, never logged them. I do remember chatting with K3BCO there. Additionally, years later, I understand that was just an HT with a big ICOM IC2AT with a big battery on it. Years later, maybe 8, 10 years later, I brought my 1986 Ford Escort station wagon to go camping with my cousin, her husband, and the youngest son at the Circle M Mary campground in Millersville, Lancaster County. Now, my cousin and her husband lived in Blackwood, New Jersey, and I came all the way out from Newtown Square, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, and would stay with them for a while. And at that time, I brought out my Kenwood TS430S, hooked it up to a magnet mount and the car battery. I may have used a deep cell battery at the time. And on the magnet mount, I would put different elements, 10 through 80. Yeah, 10, 15, 17, 24. Well, the warp bands, except 10 megacycles. 10 through 80, including 2 of the warp bands, except 10 megacycles. And I did a lot of CW, 20-meter CW. I did work some DX at the time on 20 and 15. And it was a good opportunity. You know, effectively running emergency power at the time. And it was an interesting experience. And now, unfortunately, both my cousin and her husband have passed away, and I've not been camping like that for maybe 25 years with the HF station. But it was enjoyable. I had a good time. Last year I worked field day. I wonder if you know what field day is here in America, net control operator. It's an emergency communications test or exercise. And I was the CW operator at that time. First time I had done something like that, maybe since 1978. Or no, 79. 79 when I was a novice class operator would pound the brass keys. So there you go. I wonder if I've answered your question. The biggest problem I have nowadays with running HF in the mobile is these electric fuel pumps generate a whole lot of stinking lousy noise, and always have to run ferrite cores on the power lines. It's just very difficult. You know, if you had a mechanical fuel pump, that's okay. But since cars now have fuel injection, they need the electric fuel pump. Now, there you go. Maybe I've talked your ear off. Who knows? Back to net control, please. Thank you very much for letting me go on and on and on. K3BMS. I'm sorry to go long-winded on you.
K3BMS M7BYD. Well, yes, you've answered my question and taken us on a tour with you without question. So, yeah, that was a good over with plenty of description, and I appreciate it. This is Net Control thanking K3BMS, and yeah, you've answered my question. So that said, we'll bid you 73, and we will drop down the list right now to Robert, and Robert is KK4BFM. So do go ahead, Robert, please. This is M7BYD standing by. This is M7BYD. Station that called in, KK4BFM. Are you still with us, please? M7BYD standing by. This is M7BYD. It looks as though Robert's decided to call this a day. He did check in, but maybe it waited too long. So thank you, anyway, Robert, if you may be listening, or if you may have checked out, so to speak. We'll drop down the list now to KB2UDD. Kilo Bravo 2 Uniform Delta Delta, and that's Jim. If you're still with me, Jim, do please come in and say hi. This is M7BYD standing by.
Okay, Kilo Bravo 2 Uniform Delta Delta. You want me to jump in or hold for a second? Okay, this is Kilo Bravo 2 Uniform Delta Delta. Do you want me to go on?
KB2UTD. Yes, do please go ahead. M7BYD standing by.
Okay, very good. I'm actually coming through ZMR on my F50. I'm actually in that predicament of the topic already for since August of 2000. I have homestead in the States and Colombia and also in the Philippines. Presently out in Colombia, which is where my son and grandkids are, and my wife is here taking care of her mother who has dementia and very severe, so she spends a lot of her time here. Then I have a daughter who's in, actually adopted daughter, who lives in the Philippines, so I tend to bounce around quite a bit, not really staying in one place for real long periods of time. So for that reason, I kind of depend on ZMR and digital. I have carried my my digital radios. I have touched a little bit on the HF. I like 10 meters and 6 meters. So I like playing around on that. So I did have I think it was called an XT M7BYD5150. It's one of those handheld 5-watt, 10-watt radios. And I had a buddy, and I used a buddy stick, and used that for a while, for about 2 years. And at that time, when I was lived in Indiana. Since then, I sold that house, moved back to our family house in Pennsylvania, and unfortunately, I had to get rid of a lot of equipment. So, so I'm still kind of toying around where to go. I know I can get these reciprocating licenses so I can use radios, HF and stuff in another country. Still looking around with that, but with my grandkids, when they were born a few years back, and my last one about 2 years ago, that kind of took up a lot of my time, and I'm still trying to work my way back into it. Let me unkey for a sec. Okay. I just want to make sure that I'm connecting right to there also. So anyway, that's kind of my situation now, and then I go visit my daughter. We're working on opening up the business over there where she lives, and then I have my home, my U.S. home, which is in Westboro, Pennsylvania. I heard another fellow in there from Pennsylvania. So hi. But anyway, that's kind of my situation right now. Toying around, trying to see what I could do, with as far as radio. But for now, I carry my F50 around. That's my go-to when I travel, coming through Zillow. So, other than that, I can't really think of anything more to add on to that. I am presently sitting at a mall right now in Cali, Columbia. My oldest granddaughter's birthday today, and all of her friends are in the movie, so we're waiting for their movie to end, and then we're getting them all pizza here in the food court in the mall, and then of course having the adult party tonight. So anyway, with that, let me hand it back over to the net. Thank you for letting me in there. I think this is the first time on here. So this is Kilo Bravo 2, Uniform, Delta, back to net.
KB2UDD, this is M7BYD. Yeah, Jim, it certainly is your first time. Don't be a stranger. Please do drop in. And yeah, thanks so much for the information. You've got plenty of places to choose from, if you like, that can give you sort of, I'm sure, the takeoffs that you wish that will get you around the world. There's no question about that. If you've got multiple places where you can set up mobile or indeed portable equipment, then that's no bad thing. And the final part of your over, where you are waiting for everyone to come out so you can continue from the movie to celebrate the birthday. I sincerely hope that goes extremely well for you. I really do, Jim. Yeah, thanks indeed for the clarification and joining into the spirit of amateur radio in the way that you have. So take care, mate, very much indeed. Take care, my friend. We appreciate it. And I certainly do up here on the new Hamsnet. So anyone listening who's listened to all the preceding check-ins gives you some sort of an idea. If you haven't pressed the PTT yet, or if you're listening, what can be achieved, what can be done within amateur radio. It's about as good as it gets. Thank you so much, Jim. I'll bid you some 3 for the time being. Take the opportunity, if you don't mind, to drop down the list, find myself at the bottom of the current list. If there's anyone else who would like to check in with me, Keith, here on the New Hamsnet, you are more than welcome. Very much indeed. This net takes place every Sunday, and the starting time is 8 p.m. And that's 2000 hours GMT, 1900 hours, which is currently UTC. That's the breakup of the difference in the 1 hour. If you'd like to join me, please do feel free to do so. This is M7BYD, standing by for any more check-ins, please.
Let's try this again. This is VE or Victor Echo 6 Quebec Echo X-ray from Canada, or from Alberta, Canada. Here.
Oh, this is M7BYD, so we do have a station calling in. It's VE6 QEX, I do believe. Hasn't populated as yet from QRZ, so if you're able to give us further information, and hopefully I've got the call sign right, VE6 QEX. Give me another shout out, please. M7BYD standing by.
Victor Echo 6 Quebec Echo X-ray. Just Edmonton here from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Just enjoying my Sunday. So I'm not sure if I'm missing anything else, but yeah, that's about all I have to add. Just sipping coffee and listening.
V6QEX. This is M7BYD here on New Hamsnet. We like to encourage new amateurs who may be listening to experience anyone's own experiences, if you will, or other people's experiences to enable them to engage in amateur radio. If you wish to make that your only contribution, you are more than welcome. Thank you so much for checking in. We've got a little topic running, and that's just quite simply, if you go out portable or mobile, what equipment would you take, etc. So it's entirely up to you if you want to come back. If you don't, well, you've got your name in the log. This is M7BYD, standing by for V6QEX. M7BYD, standing by.
M7BYD, I think I said that right. I think for carrying with me, usually I'm pretty lightweight. I have my little Yaesu handhelds, extra long antenna, and usually extra battery pack, some water, and some food. So nothing. I'm really new to the hobby, so just exploring, or just that's about it. So Victor Echo 6 Quebec Echo X-ray.
V6 OEX, this is M7BYD. Thank you so much for joining me. As you haven't populated on QRZ, I don't know if you're a member of QRZ, but right now we don't have your name. I'm Keith, and this net takes place every Sunday. The idea being that experienced people do call in and help people who are brand new. Equally, people who are brand new ask questions. So it's a great little net, and it takes place every Sunday here on the Extended Freedom Network, and that's how you found us. So I can't put your name in because it doesn't appear up to now. Don't know whether you've signed in with QRZ. I'll put it back to you to see if you've signed in with QRZ, and if not, well, at some stage, I'm sure you will. So once again, back to you. I know you're new. You're more than welcome. So V6OEX from M7BYD. Okay, nothing heard from V6 QEX. I apologize. I think I might have said OEX, and I apologize. V6QEX. Nothing heard from that station, in which case I once again find myself at the bottom of the list. Bearing in mind we're 2138. Soon it will be the Raspberry Pi Net, which takes place at 2200 hours, and that's GMT, and that is now, of course, 2100 hours UTC. So that will be a great net for everyone to listen into after this net has completed. If anyone else would like to check in with me, you are more than welcome. This is M7BYD standing by.
W2. M7BYD W2JLD.
Hi, John, W2JLD. Good to hear you. Don't know who's got the command post for the Raspberry Pi Net tonight, but you check into the net regularly, and I'm sure you'll be able to enlighten people as to what is coming up in your net. And of course, you are more than welcome to do so. And as far as amateur radio is concerned, a little topic, if you want to answer it, that's fine. If you want to tell people about what is up and coming, also absolutely fine. Over to you, John. W2JLD from M7BYD.
Alrighty, fine business. This is W2JLD. Good to hear you out there. Thank you very much for taking my check-in on this Sunday edition of the net. Here in Rochester, cloudy, overcast skies. But yeah, you know, I've lately, within the past month, maybe about 5 weeks, I've gotten the bug to get out of the Ham Shack QTH. I get tired of looking at these four walls. I really wasn't looking for another radio, but I ended up picking up the Zygo G90. And after having it almost 5 weeks, I got to tell you, it's a nice little radio, great audio, great receive. The internal tuner, I swear it'll tune a piano, but I know it won't tune a fish. The other thing is you know, I'm now getting to the point where I look forward to days that I could go out and play radio. Grab the Zygo G90. I know a lot of folks out there have the ICOM 705. That's a great radio. But the need to get out and about and to be able to set up your station real quick and be able to transmit without any problem. I took the Zygo G90 out with a LiPo battery and 33-foot long end fed, and I ended up making 7 contacts in a 2-hour period. I learned a lot by going out and doing that, different ways to set up the antenna, different variations of transmitting conditions. I'm going to let it drop. So yeah, there's definitely a need to be able to go mobile. As a matter of fact, for field day, we're going to be setting up in a location near water, because water and radio waves work very, very well, especially if it's salt water. Fresh water is not bad, but salt water is a lot better. And we're going to go out and play some radio. But I've been, every chance I get out, I do POTA, and no, it's not parks on the air. I call it porches on the air, POTA, porches on the air. It combines my 2 favorite things, sitting playing HF radio and drinking a cup of coffee. So, yeah, it's all about being remote and enjoying the hobby and getting the most that you can out of it. This is W2JLD.
W2JLD M7BYD. I love that play on words, and I like the way you changed that. Parks on the air to porches on the air. A man that can enjoy radio whilst at the same time, if the weather is appropriate, shall I say, you might have a cool something or other, maybe it a lager or beer or something, or even of course a fresh drink of some other nature, and to thoroughly enjoy yourself whilst being porches on the air. What a man with a sense of humour. I appreciate it, John. And the G90, I heard that said earlier on. It's mentioned that it's a great radio, and the fact it can tune the wet piece of string is absolutely brilliant. And you've got the antenna, and you're able to do it. Have you come across anything that's been more of a challenge when you've tried to do this? And indeed, how did you get round it? If you don't mind me asking. Back to you for that one, John, please. W2JLD from M7BYD.
BYD, M7BYD, W2JLD, and on another note, I am the net controller for today's edition of the Raspberry Pi Net. We're going to talk about your Raspberry Pi and how you use it on your HF radio, and do you use it for digital modes? Because I've seen a lot of videos where guys have their HF radio, and there it is, a Raspberry Pi sitting next to it, whether they're running FT8 or PSK. So that's my skit for the Raspberry Pi Net today. And as far as challenges, I think what challenges me the most is that I have a go bag, and I have the antenna, some coax, about 40 feet of coax, and the radio, and the battery. I think what is most challenging is getting the go bag as light as possible while doing the job that I needed to do. I have a bag of paracord. It's about 2,000 feet, so I put that in there. You never know when you're going to need a lot of paracord. I have the coax. I have my balun. I have a 33-foot piece of wire and a 66-foot piece of wire. What else do I have in there? I have a place to put the microphone and the battery cable to the radio, a pencil and paper. Nothing out of the ordinary in the go bag, but I think that's one of my biggest challenges is when I take the go bag, it's nothing to get in your vehicle and get one of them big black boxes and throw it in your trunk and, kid it. No, I don't want it. I want to go as light as possible. That's my key, as light as possible. W2JLD.
W2JLD M7BYD. So yes, you answered the questions on both parts. The first of which, of course, the things that you can do with a Raspberry Pi, it appears to me to be limitless. You can deploy a Raspberry Pi to do just about anything you wish, and I use mine indeed to power into my onboard radio in the car from my handheld. And that's just a little of what it can achieve. So yeah, and as far as lightness is concerned, it's always important to everybody wherever you wish to deploy an amateur radio piece of equipment, or should I say a station. The fact that you've already made the equipment you'll take with you sort of packed as lighter weight as you can possibly achieve, especially with the batteries that have been spoken of, that these days are ultra lightweight. And of course, with the G90, you can choose. You can tune about just about anything. So, yeah, that's a great comeback, and I appreciate it, John. Now that I have said that, and I know the Raspberry Pi Net will be coming up, and what you're about to talk about. Forgive me, I didn't catch who's going to be net control for your network tonight, John. If you wouldn't mind coming back to me on that one, so we're all clear what's going on very shortly. Back to you, John, if I may. W2JLD from M7BYD.
M7BYD. I'm going to talk about two different things. First of all, I will be the net controller on today's edition of the Raspberry Pi Net, where we'll be talking about your Raspberry Pi and do you use it for any HF operations. I've seen the Raspberry Pi be used digitally. People that use PSK, FT8. I've also seen where people have used the Raspberry Pi remotely and get into their radio. There's another gentleman out there. He's using a Raspberry Pi with, I believe, an SDR unit and using it that way. So there are multitudes of uses when it comes to HF radio. And the other thing, too, is, you're speaking of batteries. I came across a great testing. I was using a sealed lead acid battery. When it was all fully charged, it would be 13 volts, I think 13.1 volts. And then I would use it probably maybe an hour, and then it would drop down to, a little bit less than 11 volts. And I noticed that the battery, when the sealed lead acid battery, when it drops to 11 volts, my G90 will not, even if I have it at a full 20 watts, it will not put out a full 20 watts. But I also did notice on the lithium phosphate battery, the LiPo batteries, when that is a fully charged battery, it's 13.2 volts, 13.2 volts. I plug it into the radio, and I look at the right top corner, and it says 13.2. An hour later, it's reading 13. Do you know that lithium phosphate battery for more than 4.5 hours kept reading over 13 volts? So I think I'll be carrying the LiPo battery from with me now on. So with that being said, folks, remember the Raspberry Pi Net's going to start in 9 minutes. And again, I will be in net control looking for a whole lot of check-ins. And we're going to talk about Raspberry Pis and how they're used in your HF operations. So this is Whiskey 2, Juliet Lima Delta. Over to you, my friend.
Great comeback, John. W2JLD. This is M7BYD. Great information. I have the Pi 3B and don't use it to its fullest extent at all. No question about that. I only use it simplex. But the idea of using it HF, having more than one, having programmed to be able to do various things, especially as far as I'm concerned. I have a need to connect 10 meters because I have a 10-meter gateway. Well, thankfully I have the NOV here in the UK for a 10-meter repeater. So yeah, 10 meters would be fantastic. Thanks for sharing that, John. I look forward to hearing the Raspberry Pi Net tonight because it's full of information, and yours was first class, my friend. Thanks so much, John, and I wish you well in your net. I'll just take a pause. Now, this is M7BYD. So I think that having said that, I will give good grace to John. Thank John W2JLD for really giving us a great ending to my net. A lot of information and good information at that. And I do think that I've reached the bottom of the list. There's now very little time between the net that I'm running now and, of course, the Raspberry Pi net. So I will give grateful thanks and tie the ribbons to the New Hamsnet and give once again thanks to Gareth, and that's G0WUR, and he checks everybody into NetLogger and everyone who's called in. So also thanks to everyone who's made the net possible. A big shout out to our great friends and supporters at, of course, the International Radio Network, the Rock-Hamsnet, the DB Scotland, the Phoenix Network, the Misfits Network, and of course the Ansel Network, the RCWA. We do have some amazing collaborations, and we here at the Extended Freedom Network are truly grateful. So also to all the repeater keepers, hubs, nodes, and admins of all the connections around the world. We once again here at the Extended Freedom Network are so very grateful, and because you're allowing us to be connected to you. So I'm going to now close the net down. This is M7BYD, and I thank everyone for this particular net for joining me. I'm now closing the net and handing control back to the Extended Freedom Network. And I wish everyone around the world who's listened, who's taken part, the very best 7-3. M7BYD is now going back to standby. Thanks, everyone. Yes, but this is open.